Running a home service business is hard. So how is it that some people make it look so easy? Well, we'll tell you. This is the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. It's always good to hear the wins that successful contractors have. But have you ever thought that the best advice would be to hear about the speed bumps they encountered, the mistakes they've made along the way? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want you to be successful and avoid the mistakes others have made. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Now your host, Justin Deese.
Welcome back to another episode of Freedom Blueprint Podcast. I am your host, Justin Deese, and today we have got Michel coming and hanging out with us from Service Nation, and this is your second time hanging out with us, so appreciate you coming and hanging out again.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys having me because obviously we've had a lot of conversations and we get to hang out at different events, but I enjoy hanging out with you any chance I get. So.
Well, and it's about to be trade show season and event season, so you're gonna see so much of me.
Saddle up. Here we go.
We are ready. So if you didn't check out the episode that Chris was on before, it was episode 50, and I want to say it's been right at a year ago. So a lot's changed with you guys, with Service Nation.
Yeah.
There's some really cool stuff going on. I know we want to talk about Service World a little bit, but before we get into that, because that's also some pretty cool and exciting stuff going on there, tell us about Service Nation. Like, there's all these cool changes and shifts that are going on.
Yeah. So I'm in charge of the training department, as we probably just talked about before, but I'm the training director in charge of delivery. So I'm in charge of everything that we put out in front of everybody. And I get the opportunity to do some training, do some coaching, and myself and Jeremy, who's my counterpart in the training department, he's in charge of all the content. And so we kind of go back and forth on the content that we create and curate for Service Nation and the training department. Well, we've redone a number of things, not the least of which is boot camp. And boot camp is for our alliance members who are the top tier, and they get the most because they pay the most, right? So this is kind of like, if you want the best of the best, you come and check out the alliance. Well, we just redid the boot camp. We're actually getting ready to put it on for the very first time this season, and it is all about the 7 pillars. Now, the 7 pillars is really where we backed up and we said, man, we've got all of this stuff, all of this information from 20 plus years of being in the business. We've got hundreds and hundreds of hours of video and content that's been curated over the years. Different people, from Matt to you guys, from you know, Justin and Kristen, to Vicky and John LaPlante, to all these titans in the industry, and we are able to take that information now and we're repurposing some of it under the 7 pillars umbrella, if you will. And the 7 pillars are the best practices for running your business. It's business design, human resources, financials, operations, sales, marketing, and leadership. And you take those 7 things and you say, okay, everything that we have and do can be put underneath that umbrella. And so we're saying, here are the best practices. We're going probably 20, 30 classes deep on each one of those topics. And it's everything from the basics of, all right, well, how do you put together a business plan? How do you read financials? To, let's talk about a cash business. Let's talk about day-to-day operational excellence, right? Let's talk about leadership, where you're developing leaders who develop leaders who develop leaders. And so Jeremy, myself, and a couple of other individuals here are, not only are we DISC certified, but we're also John Maxwell Leadership certified. And so we've taken this and kind of put things on top of things on top of things, right? So now it's really kind of cool, like you and I were talking about earlier. We're taking all this stuff in its infancy stage, and now we're just taking it and we're going, okay, now you're a teenager. Now you're a 20, 30 something, right? And it's like you're injecting all of this stuff that we've heard and seen And we haven't got it all figured out, but man, it's pretty cool seeing the development of all of this stuff come together. And that, of course, gets pushed out into all the classes that we teach and that we offer.
Well, and that's such a challenge. Like when you think about the 7 pillars, a lot of times when business owners, especially when they start out, or even if they're in the infancy stage, it's hard for them to think in departments like that. And I think that's really cool that you guys have developed that in order to help them think of their business in different segments. And I mean, your departments are different, how you think about things in your accounting versus your operation. It's a little bit of a different mindset. So it's pretty cool. I had somebody texting me earlier today asking about, they're working for a company, wanting to venture out on their own. And they're like, what do I have to do? And I didn't even know at the time you guys had revamped the boot camp, but I was like, you have to join Service Nation. You've got to go to the boot camp. And until you have that amount of money, then don't start your business. Like just keep doing what you're doing for now. Keep saving.
It's difficult sometimes because we as technicians, as salespeople, as whatever, right? Operators in the business of somebody else's business, we get tired of building somebody else's dream and we want to build our own. And so the cool thing about Service Nation and what we're doing and what we've been doing for years is we give you the opportunity to not just turn a wrench, but then turn a profit, right? And really expand on the things that, again, this is not Chris's wisdom or Jeremy's wisdom or whomever, right? This is years and years and years of stuff that now we just get to curate it. We get to pull it all together and say, hey, look at this. Isn't this cool? Look at what, these guys did, and look at Matt Michel and David Heimer, and right, look at what these guys did over time, and they developed these things. And then you start talking about the Ron Strelkys of the world and the Joe Stripmatters of the world, and right, and the Justin Deeses of the world, and you start pulling all these people with all this wisdom and knowledge, and you start piecing it all together, and then it becomes this incredible toolbox. But again, people have to utilize it, right? They have to know what tools to use, when to use it. And like you were just talking about, if you don't have the money, you really can't do all that you need to do. You're going to be piecemealing this thing, living paycheck to paycheck, hoping that you can figure it all out.
Yeah, being the self-employed, I know a lot of times guys are like, I just want to be my own boss. And I always tell them, like, that's a terrible place to be because then you answer to everybody.
Well,
everybody all the time.
I want to be my own boss translates into I want to report to everybody else 24/7.
Yep.
And it really is. And I think we forget that sometimes, right? When we're sitting in that truck with somebody else's logo on it and we're going, oh man, this is just hard. Hey guys, follow the process. Learn while you're there. Guys and gals, learn while you're there. Learn the processes, learn the tricks, right? Gather all this information, repurpose it. And by the way, Service Nation, it's not like we've created all of this wonderful stuff because we have this knowledge. It's called rob and duplicate for a reason, right? You R&D this stuff because there were people who came way before us. There were the Jackie Rainwaters and the Ron Smiths, and right. I mean, you want to start getting into Ken Goodrich and right, all these other folks who've done all that. Chris Hunter, all these folks who've done all these things for a number of years, and we're just borrowing from the people, our predecessors, right? And okay, maybe I've got a little bit better way to do this. Maybe mine's not as good, right? And so we just learn and we tweak and we learn things along the way. And that's the other cool thing that I get to do is I get to learn, continuously learn how to do things just a little bit better.
Yeah, I think a lot of times contractors get jammed up on I'm going to say technology. And it's sometimes easy to forget, like the name, like Ron Smith, legend, right?
Right.
When he started out in this industry, there was no cell phones, there was no GPS, there was no, super fancy technology. It was pen and paper, and they were able to do it before. So technology, really, the point of it is to enhance the business and what you're doing. Don't let it get you jammed up. And those that came before us, it's so crazy that the beautiful thing about this industry is I've never met anybody that we've said, hey, can you help me with this problem? And they've said, no, figure it out on your own.
Right.
And man, if you don't have that network, Service Nation was that network for me for a lot of, I mean, it's still my network now, but it's so impactful when you get around a group of people, especially when you talk about like the boot camps or service world. Somebody in that room has either solved that problem or gone through what you're going through and can give you either a tip how to do it or how not to do it.
Right.
Which both could be very valuable.
Well, and all of that's super critical, right? When you're trying to do a business and you're trying to put your best foot forward, and we've all heard this, but you want to go fast? Sure, go by yourself. Absolutely. Figure it out. You want to go further, you better go with other people. And when you do that, it takes coaches, it takes trainers, it takes other people to help us just shave an inch off here, shave an inch off there. Next thing you know, you're a lean, mean fight machine, right? You can do all these things and you can become this stealth piece of, machinery that just is killing it. And so, and Justin, I know you and I've talked about this too, where if you want to be a $1 million, one man, two man, two person, whatever, operation, good for you. Be the most profitable operation that you can be. Get the tools, get the knowledge, get the wisdom, figure these things out, or get somebody to help you. And when you do that, if you want to be a $1 million person or a $50 million company, we can help you with every step along the way, right? And that's the cool thing. I get to love what I do every single day because I get to help people get better at what they do. And I just really thrive on that. And so I love what I do on a consistent basis.
So will you tell us a little bit about boot camp? I know you guys have done some revisions. You've shifted up a little bit. What is that going to look? And I have been to a lot of boot camps, but it's obviously haven't been to the new one. But what does it look like now?
So boot camp is a 3-day intensive, but it's not a deep dive on really anything except your business. And what I mean by that is in the past, we would deep dive on sales or we deep dive on marketing or culture or, right, we'd try and deep dive and you'd walk away and your head just be like about to explode if it hadn't exploded by the end of day 1. Forget day 3 or 4 or however many days it was. We've narrowed it down to 3 days. First 2 days are going to be all about the 7 pillars, and it's going to be a high level, 30,000 foot view. Here's what you need to know. I don't care if you're a $1 million company or a $100 million company. Here are the basics that you need to know. Now, you go, well, wait a minute, Chris, the 10 or plus $1 million companies are going to be bored out of their mind because they already know this stuff. We've got stuff for every company, no matter where you are along the line. And what I mean by that is we have developed and will continue to develop these 7 pillars into where are you at along the journey? Are you just getting started? Are you trying to build a foundation? Are you starting to get through this initial growth period? Are you mid-growth? Are you in this, man, we're just killing it, we're going to start nailing things down? Or are you in this, hey, we just need to maintain. We just need to keep everything moving and moving along the way that it is. And so we've broken it down for these 7 pillars to be in these 5 areas of growth. And we said, hey, everywhere along the way, you need to work on this, work on that. And of the 7 pillars, there's usually 1 or 2 things that we're just not as good at. And that's okay. But do you have a person or a process that can help you to do those things? One of which is DISC. And DISC really just permeates throughout most of what we do because it's so important to learn how to communicate not only with ourselves, but with other people. And you go, well, Chris, I already know how to communicate with myself. Well, unfortunately, we don't sometimes. And we don't know how to listen. And we don't know how to really work in what's called our genius. And what I mean by that is stick with the things that you do know and you do well. I'm no good at financials. I'm just going to say that. I'm not very good at financials. It doesn't mean that I can't read a P&L. It doesn't mean that I can't, make some adjustments here or there. But the reality is I'm not a financial person. So you don't want me teaching financials. You don't want me doing financials. What you want me doing is you want me in sales. You want me in leadership. You want me doing different things that can help move the company in different positions. I know that that's not my area of strength. And so I'm going to stay away from that. And not to the point where I don't know what's going on. No. Hey, Justin, I need you to, or Kristen, I need you to do the financials. Why? Because Kristen is amazing at financials. And so she gets to work in her genius. and I get to work in my genius, right? Some of us, it's operational. Some of it's just leadership and big ideas and all these other. It's finding that thing that works well with you that you know within yourself, man, this is what I really know and love, and I'm good at this. And you take those other things that you're not really strong at, and instead of working on those weaknesses like we've done for so many years, we go, wait a minute, Justin, you're really good at this. Can you do this for me? And I'll take this that you're not really good at, and I'll take that, and I'll do that, and you do this, and we'll just have a great time doing what we love to do. And that's part of the disc and understanding who are we, what do we do? And now I'm speaking a language that everybody can understand because now I know what drives you, what motivates you, what wakes you up in the morning, right? And where your strengths lie. And now I can work with that. And by doing that, it makes things operationally, leadership, right? I mean, all of these things, financials, all of this stuff can go a whole lot smoother if I'm just doing this one thing, the thing, or two or three things that I really know how to do well and working in that genius area of mine.
Well, and that keeps you in your happy place, man. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think that's the big difference between businesses and owners that love what they do and don't love what they do. Typically, it comes down to like, I can remember when I was at a point in my business where I didn't like it. And I was in that mindset of, it wasn't me, it was everybody else. And I spent 95% of my time doing the things that, quite frankly, I shouldn't have been doing. And then once I got to where I was like, okay, there's people that actually like spreadsheets. Like you talk about, well, Kristen, they're so funny because we'll look at stuff and she's like, ooh, let me look over that spreadsheet. I'm like, who says that? She's like, well, I do. I'm out. I don't ever look at a spreadsheet. I need these certain numbers. And if you give me a spreadsheet, please have percentages on it because I can't read it any other way.
Right.
But I think that is the big difference. And I think a lot of times business owners, whether it be because of ego or because they don't know or they don't trust, because that obviously happens a lot, but they tend to just try to be all things to all people. And that's just such a unhealthy, and this is not judging anybody. That was me for a long time. I did that. So,
well, and we've all been there, right? I mean, we've all been at that junction where we have to decide, am I going to do this alone or am I going to go with other people? Are they going to help me out? Or is this something I'm just going to continue to fight the rest of my life? And you just can't, right? You have to know where your strengths are and where they're not.
So let's talk a little bit about, as we talk about networking, as we talk about groups, it seems like a really good segue to talk about the upcoming event at Service World, which not only is this every year, I can remember the very first one, which by the way, this is the 10-year anniversary of the event.
Yeah.
And I can remember the very first one, and I think the very first one was in the Tropicana, but that may have been the second one. I don't remember.
That's a great question. I've only been here a little over 2.5 years, so I don't know the answer to that, and I should, and I feel bad, and Sarah's going to kill me for not knowing this.
I just put you on the spot. Sarah, it's my fault. I apologize. But, they just tore down the Tropicana.
Well, and there you go. That's why we're not meeting there. No, I think it was in Vegas, and that's why we're headed back. And I know the first one was in Vegas. And so, we're going back to these opportunities and really trying to not live on the laurels, of the past, but to really celebrate the things and accomplishments that have happened over the past 10 years. And we've got some great things planned. If I understand right, there is a costume party, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm just going to drop it out there and just walk away. But there might be a costume party, and it might have something to do with past events. So we're really kind of doing it up for this one. And if you've never been to one, or if it's been a couple years since you've been to one, the training that we do, the classes that we do are really focused around the 7 pillars. And it is about helping you get better at your business. We're not trying to overwhelm you. We're trying to give you some good, solid information that you can walk away with and put into plan, right? We can start implementing right away. In fact, the last day we actually have time with coaches that you can spend, and it's an opportunity to come and speak with some people that have been around the industry for a long time and they know what they're talking about. and they're offering free opportunities to sit down with them one-on-one and get basically some information and some feedback and some coaching.
And so in an action plan, because a lot of times that's the hardest part, right? You go to events and you get fire hosed and you're like, I got all these ideas and I have a whole notebook. And so for you guys to offer the coaching to be able to sit down with somebody and say, here's my plan, because sometimes you might leave the event and your focus is on this AI widget that you just saw that you have to have. But really maybe the focus should be something around the financials or something around the operational side, not necessarily shifting in that gear. So that's pretty awesome. You guys are doing that.
Well, and to your point, right? Sometimes we forget that we have to do the operational or the pricing thing, the financial thing. And when we do that, it takes care of the other things, which allows us to do the AI thing or the sales thing or the marketing thing, right? It allows us to do those other things, but we have to do that one thing first. And sometimes we can miss that. But with a coach or with somebody who has a, if you will, an outside perspective, and again, been there, done that, right? Where, hey, I've been to 10 of these, or I've been to, 100 of these different type of events just like this, where I know what it's like to walk away with 100 things to do on your to-do list. Let's pare it back. Let's put down 2 items. This is going to be my focus for the next 30, 60 days. And it's really cool to see what people do when they do that, and just the trajectory that they take when they decide, hey, here's my focus, 1, 2 things.
Well, and as the saying goes, focus, follow one course until success. So if you go through and you've got 100 things on your list, that's fantastic, but you can't do all 100.
Right.
So just do 1. And then when you nail it, go to number 2.
Yeah. Well, and this is a Maxwellism. John Maxwell talks about this, but there's the 80-20 rule, right? We all know the 80-20 rule in several different scenarios, but 20% of the people do 80% of the work, or 20% of the things are going to get you 80% of the results. Same thing here. If you've got 10 things on your list, pick 2, right? And those 2 things are probably going to give you 80% of a return. And 80%, not on what you put into those 2 things. It's going to give you 80% on if you're a $3 million company, maybe it makes you a $4 or $5 million company, right? All of a sudden you're going, wait a minute, I just needed this to do that. And you see really quickly what 20%, 80% really means, because of the way that it works itself out.
It's pretty incredible how much that rule, when you start really looking at it, and I know you're a huge reader and just devour books, but so when you pick up principles like that and you hear it and you go, that's such a simple principle, and then you start looking at it. I can remember going through our business and doing that exercise with the techs and with the people answering the phone and with the clients that we were working with and the zip codes they were in. It was really kind of really cool. Of course, now a lot of that stuff you can get from different softwares, but back then you couldn't. So we kind of had to pen to paper it, and it's pretty awesome how all that stuff works.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
So Service World, October 26th through the 30th.
Yes.
In beautiful Las Vegas. And here's the deal. If you haven't already gotten your ticket, which you should have already gotten it, but if you haven't, good news, we got a discount code for you, and this will be in the show notes as well. But when you go on the website and you go to get a ticket for the show, use the promo code FREEDOM100, and that's just the number. So Freedom number 100 for a discount code. I won't tell you what it is. You have to go to the site to figure it out.
Go check it out.
You might know from the code. I don't know. Maybe you don't.
Well, and we've got some really cool things planned. So not only do we have the post coaches, we've got 4 workshops that are available on the front end, and those are a pay to play. But on the front end, you've got these 4 incredible speakers doing workshops. I'm not going to give it all away, because come check it out. I'm telling you, there are some folks that are going to be giving you some really, really good insights on how to run your business, how to do sales, how to do financials, maybe, something like that. Anyways, but there's really good stuff that's on the front end and on the back end. So it's not just come for 3 days, come for 2 days. man, come and check out the experience. Spend the time. It'll be well worth it. And what Justin talked about earlier, I love what you said, Justin, when you were talking about the relationships. That's the one thing I don't think people really understand enough about Service Nation and what we provide. Yeah, we've got rebates. Yeah, we've got training. But man, one of the biggest things we do is we connect you with other like-minded individuals that are not your competition, that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, Justin, you got a minute? Because I got some questions. I don't know what to do here, there, or here, right? And when you start to see that and you start to build those relationships, it's amazing what you can do. And again, the growth that you're going to encounter as a result. But it's got to start with you saying, hey, I don't know everything, and I just want to get some information and some help. And there's plenty of people, like you said, that will do that.
Yeah, I bet. So last time, I want to say Jim was on, or maybe Tom was on, and we were talking about this. And a little bit later, I went through my phone because I'd said on the recording, on the podcast, I said, I bet I have 100 numbers that are in my phone. And either Jim or Tom said, are you sure about that? And I was like, I don't know. It was 120. Like, people that I communicate with that are my Service Nation family. That, I mean, sometimes we may not see each other until events, but man, if there's ever an issue, there's always somebody to help. And it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, you and I had a conversation a couple of months ago, and I said, man, I got this guy in Florida. He wants to come and see a shop. And you're like, bring it, let's go.
Come on.
And then you and I were talking.
He
like,
just came.
Yeah.
And he was awesome. And then he went and saw another member in Mobile, and that was awesome.
And then he went and saw somebody else too in Florida. And so he literally is making the rounds, and good on him. He initiated and said, hey, can somebody help me? And I know I made a phone call to you, and you just started, well, what about this guy? What about this guy? Well, he's not in Florida, but what about this guy? And it was just like boom, 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 right? And I know Billy has gotten to see probably 3 or 4 people, whether it's in his immediate area or like you, right? You're just far enough away that he can go check you out, check out what you guys are doing and the practices that you're doing. He went over to Mobile, again, a couple hours away, but he's willing to learn from other people. And when you open yourself up to that, it's amazing the things that you can accomplish.
And Billy is he applies.
Yeah.
So that's the other big part of the secret sauce.
There's that.
He took the things and are actually infusing it into his business. And I actually just texted with him a couple days ago. He'll be at Service World too. So
of course,
I think that's part of the beautiful thing about the network is just ask. And I'll tell you, for me, I know sometimes guys are worried about people in their backyard as being competitions. Truth is, one of my other businesses that I sold to one of my local competitors because I was doing training for him for his team. And when he first asked me about it, he's like, are you sure you're willing to do it? I was like, here's the deal. I would rather everybody elevate their game. Yeah. And then we all have good techs. Customers have great experience. Our area is popping. And it might maybe put a guardrail up around, maybe people that don't have the most ethical businesses coming in. So no, I'm
sure. Well, and
I
you've
never
got those
have a
people
problem with that.
Yeah, and you've got those people that are willing to make shortcuts, and they may not have the best ethics or morality, but that if you're working with and talking with other folks, you're infusing that within them, right? And to your point, man, there's nothing like working with the locals and these folks who know you, and they go, hey, I don't have a problem, recommending Justin. If someday Justin's going to beat me some days, I'm going to beat him some days, right? I mean, it is what it is, because your personality works with this person and mine doesn't, or vice versa. And that's okay. I'd much rather it come down to the personality. If it comes down to, man, we did the work, we've got all the same things, we're doing all this, that, and the other. I just like Justin more than I like you. That's okay. I'm not hurt by that, right? I'm really not. He's got way more hair than I do. And
And look how red I am. I just got back from vacation.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
That is not the lighting. I have been in St. Lucia for however long, a week.
Oh no, that sounds horrible.
It was terrible. So awful.
It sounds like it. I'm glad you're back. So glad you made it back.
We almost didn't make it there. That's because we flew American. That's a totally different story.
Oh, that's another podcast, I think.
I won't get. I won't get on that soapbox for anybody who's also a not a fan. But but here's the deal: I blame my wife. So she's the one who booked it.
I have no idea. I'm Kristen. I do not support this. My computer's about ready to just knock me off, so I'm good with that. Kristen, I said nothing.
We're usually Delta people, but whatever.
Yeah.
So again, if you're not part of Service Nation or you want to learn more about it, I would highly recommend you go to the event, man. Go, I don't know, kind of like try before you buy. It's coming up in October. It is definitely worth it. Vegas is a really easy place to get into. Rooms aren't very expensive. Like, it's a very economical. I know if you've never been to Vegas, people think about Vegas and everything is very expensive. That's not the case. They're making their money on their gambling. So
yes.
But yeah, we're excited to be there. I'm actually going to be doing something on the podcast stage, which we got to do last year, which was awesome. I had John and Vicky on the show. It was so much fun. And do you know if they're going this year?
I don't know the answer to that because, as you know, John and Vicky usually like to drive when they go.
Yes.
And so because of that, it's not that they don't drive out there. They do. My computer's telling me it's going to shut down here in a minute. Sorry. I didn't grab my charger. I'm not sure that John and Vicky are going to be there. I think they might. But they usually make a trip of it, right? They're gonna take a couple days. They're gonna drive out. They're gonna see a bunch of friends, and so
fingers crossed. Hope they're gonna be out there. But yes. Chris, thank you so much for coming and hanging out again. And man, it's a couple weeks away. We'll be hanging out in Vegas together.
Yes. So come and see us. Come and hang out with us, and we'll have a great time. Learn a lot of stuff. I'm looking forward to it because I know I'm gonna learn a ton of stuff. So.
All this information will be in the show notes as well, but serviceworldexpo.com. Go register and get your free discount code FREEDOM100 for a special surprise of what you might save. So we appreciate it, Chris. Thanks, man.
You've been listening to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Information is useless if not applied. So take what you've learned and go and implement it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media at Freedom Blueprint for Home Services and hit the website at www.freedomblueprintpodcast.com. See you next time.